We've got to raise the bar, and we've got to continue to raise the bar. I don't think any of those young men, when they signed to come to Tennessee, they signed to say they wanted to come and be a part of a 7-6 program. All right, they said they wanted to come and compete for championships, SEC championships, national championships. I know that's what I want. I know that's what Tennessee wants. I know that's what the expectation is. So we've got to continue to reassess everything that we're doing and make sure that we're continuing to move the needle in the right direction.
It was very casual. We were just kind of walking off the field, and he was like, "So what you gonna do?" I said, "I'm gonna come back next year." He was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm excited. Let's go to Atlanta." And I was like, "Yes, sir. Let's make it happen."
99% of the people in this world want to be great. Would you agree with that? Yeah, they're called wannabes. 1% work to be great. Drop the mic on that.
Southland band crisply marches into the Giant T. The rear, the roar of 97,000 fans rises with each rhythmic step. In the background, George Beatsis is singing "Fight, Balls, Fight." The orange and white Shakers flood the air. The Volunteers are ready at the north end of the football field to burst through the gate. They're coming now, racing onto the field through the Giant T. In that magic moment that says, wherever you are, it's football time in Tennessee.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Bama Hate Week is here. Look, Bama Hate Week started when the clock hit 0 on Saturday. But, man, you know how you know Tennessee? I'm not even sugarcoating it anymore. Tennessee is back. You know how we know they're back? Because you wake up Sunday just as fired up as you were Saturday. You wake up Monday, you still got that fire in your eyes. It feels like Tennessee is back. It's a big-time matchup. Can't wait to talk about it. Big-time show, jam-packed show today. It's another edition of Locked On Talkin VAWLS. Eric Cain's going to come on here, hang out for about 30 minutes, talk about this Tennessee-Alabama game a little bit, recap the LSU game. Gabriel's going to jump on. We're going to continue to keep this show rolling. Hey, who knows? We may stay live 2 or 3 hours. I don't know what we're going to do on this Monday morning, but I'm just glad to be talking Tennessee football. Come on in. Get that cup of coffee ready. Smash that thumbs up. Let's run it down. Let's see who's in the chat here bright and early. Mountain Man was here. Let's see. When Mountain Man was here at 7:53. Just tailgating, waiting on this show to start. I appreciate you being in the chat, my man. Tyler Lyons is in the house. What's up, Tyler? James Spouse is here. Says, good morning, everybody. GBO. Robert's in the house. Good morning, Talkin VAWLS Nation. You know, Robert's one of those guys that we're playing NCAA late night Talkin VAWLS last night, but then he's right here again for the Monday morning show. Aaron Duck is in the house. I didn't even show Eric Cain this, but we got those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. The Eric Cain emoji is in the chat. You guys can play with that on the crossover shows now. But let's come on in, smash that thumbs up. Let me get caught up here. Got a couple of super chats real quick. Tyler Coggins for $20. That ain't cheap. Biggest college football game of the season to this point. GBO, yeah. And we seem to keep saying that. I want to talk to Eric about that as well. It seems like week in and week out, here's another of the biggest games of the season. Jamie Roberts for 20. So excited for all the hype. Can't wait to see the electricity Saturday morning with all the media in town. Boogie, can we finally shed all that battered Vol syndrome and believe we are back? Look, if you listened to Locked On VAWLS this morning, if you made it your first listen, that's something we're going to talk about with Eric Cain. Let's get him on and let's talk about it. Let's get Locked On Talkin VAWLS.
You are Locked On VAWLS, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Eric Cain from VolQuest.com and Locked On VAWLS. What's going on, buddy?
Dude, good morning. What's going on, man?
Good early morning. We were laughing right before we went live. I didn't even know if you were gonna make it. I was like, "There's no way Eric's gonna sleep right through it." They call you the busiest man in Tennessee media, and it's true. Like, we don't have to go into details and tell this big long story. Tell people what your weekend looked like with LSU flying back. Busiest man in Tennessee media.
Thursday night did Rivalry Thursday and drove to Chattanooga, got a couple hours of sleep, hopped a plane, was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, covering that football game this weekend. Went to Bourbon Street for Saturday night just to walk around a little bit, just to take it all in, right? Did the game, came back Sunday morning, woke up about 3:45, hopped a plane, was in Atlanta, had a little plane trouble. Drove back from Chattanooga to Knoxville, covered Tennessee baseball, 18 innings. Hey, I love Tennessee baseball. Not the biggest Tennessee baseball fan after on a football weekend, but hey, I was there. It was fun. Came back, did a live show, and then recorded Talkin VAWLS and went to sleep. Hey, it was jam-packed, but it was fun. I wouldn't have it any other way, especially when Tennessee gets a big win. It's good for everybody. So it was a fun weekend.
Well, yeah, Gabriel says, sounds horrific. Yeah, what would you rather be doing, signing in at a desk and working for the man, or would you rather be traveling all over the country, taking in Tennessee athletics? Thank you to Mark Salyers for becoming a member of the channel. We appreciate that support. You got access to those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. I wish StreamYard would fix it so that when we show those emojis, you could actually see them on the screen. But you can see them over on YouTube. We added the Cain emoji. Told you guys last week we got enough members in here. We would add it. It's in there. So Eric's going to have to pull up YouTube and see it. Drop it in the chat. They're all over. They're flooding the Eric Cain emoji everywhere in the chat. So I love to see it. But going back to that super chat there a little bit earlier, it's the truth, man. It feels like, okay, Pitt, on the road, Pitt team, top-ranked team, biggest game of the season. It all starts here. Then Florida comes to town, college game day. That's the biggest game of the year. You get the W there. You go on the road, take on LSU. You don't just beat LSU. You boat race LSU. But now Alabama comes to town. Number 6, Tennessee. Number 3, Alabama. It feels like we're here again. College game day, the whole 9 yards.
Dude, that Cainer emoji is awesome. I pulled it up over here on my other screen. Wow, man, you guys are cool. That's
hilarious.
Yeah, you're right, man. It just feels like you just keep chucking away, right? It's you get past this one test, big time road test in week 2. Find a way to win a football game. Check. Without your offense, winning on the road. Check. Come back, Florida. Check. Get that monkey off your back. Go on the road against a quality football team in LSU on the road, early time on the Bayou, sold out crowd, defense coming to play. Check. You're just finding different ways to win, and you're just seeing how, really how good you are as a football team. And it's obviously a marathon. It's not a sprint. And of course, this next challenge to Alabama that we'll talk about all morning long and all week long, it's going to be just a huge football game. But I mean, what Tennessee's done up to this point has been really impressive, and that's something to, if you're a Tennessee fan, to be proud of, to take it all in. I know sometimes you get lost in the moment. I was doing the 2-minute drill after the game, and I'm like, this is the 3rd top 25 win of the season, the 2nd on the road in the span of a month. And, this time last year, that's unheard of, right? So it's been a fun ride. This team is getting better, and this team has an identity, and it is 100% one of the best 10 teams in college football. Battered ball syndrome from a fan's perspective, from a media's perspective, covering a lot of bad football. Sometimes you're jaded a little bit, and that's human nature, and that's okay. But this is a good football team. No matter what happens on Saturday, this is still one of the top 10 football teams in the country. They're playing like it, wins like that. The environment, Tennessee fans showing out on the Bayou was incredible scene after the football game. So anybody watching right now, listening, that was at LSU, hats off to you. That was awesome.
John Hill for $10. Thank you for the super chat. Says, Eric and Boogie, let's go Big Orange. Beat Bama. He's dropping those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis in the chat as well. John's a member of the channel, always here every week. Marcus Rush is in the house. What's up, Marcus? $10. Thank you for the super chat. Big game weekend and game day. Back for the 2nd time this year. Some are crying about game day being in Knoxville instead of at Penn State, but this is the 3rd Saturday in October. They can get over it. The big thing for me is college game day and the SEC network channel both coming. They usually don't like to do that, and college game day doesn't like to come back to the same place twice. But look, you can't deny how big this matchup is. And, to say it, Tennessee is a top 10 program. They are legit. I love the way that you were beating that in the ground on Talkin VAWLS this morning. And what do you take from that? Somebody in the chat saying, all these people are what I like to call moving the goalpost, right? They keep moving the goalpost. Tennessee goes and beats number 17 Pitt. Well, Pitt's not as good as we thought. They lose to Georgia Tech 26-21. They're not as good as we thought. Tennessee goes and beats a 20th ranked Florida team. Then they lose to Kentucky. They barely beat Missouri. It's not the Florida of old. Then you go on the road And you don't just beat LSU. You boat race LSU. And let's go back to before those games. Pitt's going to be a tough game. It's a toss-up. Florida's Florida going to be a tough game. It's LSU. It's Death Valley. No way Tennessee can win. They go down there. They take care of business. What do you say to that? These people that are kind of shifting the goalpost. Tennessee's 5-0, ranked 6th in the country, and it's almost like it's still not good enough.
I mean, listen, football's football, right? I mean, Alabama almost lost to Texas back in week 2 of the football season. If Tennessee beats Alabama this weekend, or are those people going to go back and say, "Oh, well, Alabama's not that good"? They almost lost to Texas with a backup quarterback in week 2. No, I mean, that's just football, right? I mean, Georgia is a good football team. It looked like crap for 10 quarters, and then it finally got out of its own way in the second half against Auburn and looked like Georgia again with Stetson Bennett kind of leading that high-powered offense, if you will, at Georgia, right? It's kind of weird to say. Georgia's a good football team. Alabama's a good football team. Georgia Tech beating Pittsburgh, I don't know what happened there, but that's college football, right? It's just, you see it every single week, and I just think, and this is something Josh Heupel said repeatedly throughout the season, you can only control what you do on Saturdays in your football game. Go out there and take care of business, and that's what Tennessee has done. And that's what that's all you can ask, right? So it just is what it is, man. You go out there and you play what's in front of you. Tennessee's done that. Tennessee's excelled in that. I keep going back and saying this. They found ways to win. Saturday was it was the most complete game of the Josh Heupel era. I mean, defense played well. Offense did what it does. Special teams balled out. Special teams is the reason Tennessee jumped out and got off to that hot start. Maybe the reason Tennessee won this football game, if you want to go back and nitpick. It was a phenomenal football game. So, people will find ways to want to move the goalposts, and that's going to be in every instance. That's going to be in every single football game. But I think that if you're in that locker room, if you're in that coaching room, and you just keep finding ways to win, who cares, right? I mean, you're 5-0, 2-0, big test this weekend, but you're in good shape.
Yeah, and some people just choose misery, it seems.
Yeah.
It's like I've been beating it in the ground the last few weeks. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride, boys. Don't look back after the season's over with and say, man, I should have been happy. It didn't matter if it wasn't the Florida of old or if Pitt lost to Georgia Tech. None of that matters. Just enjoy the process, the ride. Tennessee, I keep saying it. I hate to say they're back, but dang it, it sure feels like they're back. Got a lot of super chats coming in. Let me hit some of these real quick. Ethan Dalton for 2. Thank you for the super chat. Seeing you, Eric on B Street. Couldn't catch up to you. I bet you were moving. Must have been moving quick. Let's see.
A lot going on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, that's a late night Talkin VAWLS storytelling time. Caleb Bray for 5. Thank you for the super chat. What is McCullough doing? Finally, Tennessee is ranked the highest we have been in a while. Now he potentially throws his career away. It's a shame. And I was gonna ask you before the show if you wanted to talk about this or not. It's just a strange situation, and I dropped a video on it earlier this morning. Of course, the news breaks last night. That's a strange story. McCullough's a kid that's kind of kept his nose clean, hasn't been in a lot of trouble. But the arrest report, the police report, kind of weird situation there. And for anybody that doesn't know what's going on, what the report said was that there was a party going on. A guy goes out to his car. He's drunk, comes back, accidentally goes in Tank McCullough's apartment instead of the one that he's having the party at. Words were exchanged. Something was said to McCullough that he didn't like. The guy tries to leave. McCullough follows him out and apparently assaults him, and he was arrested for that. McCullough didn't say anything to the police. Do you want to comment on that? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is a developing, story. Still trying to figure out. There's a police report out there, and of course, Brent put a story up there at VolQuest.com, kind of just putting the basics out there. We'll see. Overall, it's an unfortunate situation. Just like Caleb said, you got to find a way to not put yourself in that situation. And again, you're in your own place, and the situation kind of comes to you, but it's about how you react and all that. It's unfortunate. Jalen McCullough has been, anything but a stand-up guy, or everything, as a stand-up guy. I almost phrase that as in he's not been a stand-up guy. He's been a stand-up guy since he's been here in Tennessee, and that report coming out late last night is unfortunate. I don't know what this means right now in terms of being a football player, especially this week. Josh Heupel's going to meet with the media here in a couple hours, and that will be question number 1, I assume, that he's going to be asked, and we'll have to see what he says in terms of answering it. But any way you want to spin it, it's not great. I mean, I know that safety play is something that everybody likes to harp on, myself included. But this is a guy that's played a whole lot of football for Tennessee. He's a starter. He's been a team captain every single game of this season. You hate to see it. We'll see what happens. We'll see what develops. I don't really know exactly what it is right now, but that's kind of a wait and see mode. But with that being said, Andre Turrentine, Danico Slaughter, maybe Wesley Walker, your time to step up and practice this week. Number 1/3 Alabama. You're going to prepare as if you're not going to have him, I'm sure, and we'll see what happens come Saturday.
Let me get caught up here. Some more guys coming in here. Stephen Moon becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, Stephen. We appreciate that. Justin Ruby also becomes a member of the channel. Guys, throw those custom Talkin Vols emojis out there. It's Locked On Talkin Vols, so throw that Eric Cain emoji in there as well. Brad Burnett for 10. Thank you for Super Chat, Brad. I love how Brad drops Super Chats when Eric comes around, but any other time I'm on here by myself, Brad's very, very cheap. But thank you, Brad, for the Super Chat. Heupel's second season in game day, coming to Knoxville for the second time. He has UT ranked in the top 10 roughly midway through the season. GBFO. Brad, I don't know what that F means. I mean, I know you mean Go Big Orange. I'm just going to assume you mean something else, but thank you, Brad. Brad likes to harass me any opportunity he gets, so I'm going to harass him. And then everybody's been yelling at me for the past 10 minutes because they say, Boogie, you got to play the dang clip. Mark Salyers doesn't just drop a hundo. He drops a hundo and doesn't even say anything. He just says, I love Locked On Talkin Vols so much. Here's $100 with nothing to say. Appreciate that, Mark. I'll play the clip for you guys.
Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man.
Thank you, Mark. Very, very generous. Wow, very generous Super Chat. Joins the channel this morning. Now he's dropping $100 Super Chats. You guys are awesome. We're going to continue to roll on. Eric's giving us a little overtime today. We're going to go about 30 minutes. And then I saw somebody asking about Gabriel. Gabriel's going to come on here in just a little bit as well and finish up the show with me. Elijah for 5. Thank you for Super Chat. We've got to find some pass defense for Bama. Yeah, and that's something, too. We continue to talk about that LSU game. D. Williams, everybody's saying, he's going to get some run at corner, but probably won't get an opportunity to return punts, shine on special teams. Holy cow, it was the complete opposite. What a play early in that LSU game. And you kind of touched on it earlier. Special teams, man, right out of the gate, the fumbled kickoff. Tennessee, gets – Brian Kelly was coaching scared too, just like Billy Napier. Goes for it on 4th down. Why do you not kick the field goal there and cut it to 10-3? I mean, it's a chip shot field goal. Makes no sense to me.
Right before the half, I mean, again, I'm not trying to say Brian Kelly sits here and watches every Tennessee game, but he goes back and he watches film, not just this year and last year. I mean, Kentucky was a perfect example. Tennessee needed 17 seconds to get 3 points on the board right before halftime against Kentucky last year. You go for it not on 4th and 1, not on 4th and 2, but 4th and 10 from your own 45 right before the half. What a horrible decision that one. Not kicking the field goal early when there's so much game left. You're right, man. Brian Kelly, I mean, that was, there are some decisions in terms of coaching in college football right now with fourth down territories and all that. It's mind boggling. That couple of bad mistakes by Kelly on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with going for it on 4th down, but it's the time and the location of the field that just makes no sense. And Tennessee made them pay, man. And they made them pay, what was it, 13-0? Tennessee was basically gifted, right out of the gate, 13-0. Mm-hmm. And then Kelly goes for it again. And then the big connection from Hendon Hooker to Jalen Hyatt. What a throw. Just absolute drops it in a bucket. And the game was over from that point on. Tennessee never really looked back.
Dude, what a dime, man. What a dime. You drop it in the bucket. I mean, Hyatt ran under it. That's all and again, that's all he did, right? None of us could do that. No. He just ran under it, put his hands out there. I mean, what a throw, right? And that came right after, again, is not the 4th down I'm talking about, but another 4th down where Aaron Beasley went back there and popped him in the backfield. And that's football, man. You get a huge momentum swing. You get a turnover and or a big stop, take a shot. It was perfect for Tennessee. And Tennessee went in the middle 8. There was a 10-0 swing there from the last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half. Anyway, you spend it. And then again, special teams, like you pointed out, you were gifted that muff punt. But Will Brooks, Johnny on the spot, gets it. Tennessee cashes in. Dude, I feel like Mike Eckler's special teams unit overall needed that day on Saturday. They were fantastic. Paxton Brooks looked good. Had his second punt of the day, not the one that was down inside the 5, but the one that his second one wasn't the best punt, but it got a good roll and just kept on rolling. So that was good. Chase McGrath, 4 or 5 field goals. The one he missed, sure, it hit the upright, and that's not great. But, dude, that thing was high up on the crossbar right there. I mean, that could have been good from 55 yards easily, in my opinion. So special teams killed it. Again, complete football game.
Yeah, I don't think people really talk enough about Chase McGrath, and it's because he's a kicker, right? If he's out there missing, then we're talking about him. But he's 8 of 10 on the season, both misses from more than 40 yards, and one of those again, the one on Saturday from 50.
It's funny, your guest coming on the show on Wednesday, Ben McKee. You know, he he and I joke about this. Like, I'm labeled as a Chase McGrath hater apparently, because I just anything from 45 and beyond, I'm just like, oh well, you know, hold on to your butts, right? It's going to be a ride because his numbers at Tennessee 45 and beyond are not great. I know he made a 51 2-yarder, whatever it was, at Pittsburgh, which is good. But he is a really solid kicker, 45 in, and really in college football. Kicking is just an adventure anyway. So he's a really. I mean, you're right. He's a graduate transfer, just giving you that. He's automatic, really 40 in and looking fantastic. I mean, Tennessee obviously, needed those points and they kept building towards what eventually was a blowout against LSU, and he was a big part of it.
What do you think about red zone efficiency? That's another thing. I had kind of all that lumped in here with Chase McGrath as well. Somebody asked me, Boogie, what do you think? Can they get it done? They're not scoring enough in the red zone. And I go and look up the numbers. Tennessee is 28 of 28 inside the red zone. 22 of those are touchdowns. There are only 9 teams in the country that are 100% inside the red zone. Then you flip over defensively. Other teams are 13 of 20 in the red zone and only 8 of those for touchdowns. And the way this Josh Heupel offense works, if you're scoring 100% of the time in the red zone and opposing teams are only getting 8 touchdowns out of 20 red zone trips, you got to like the odds for this Josh Heupel team. But to kind of agree with what that person said in the comment section, you're not going to go beat Alabama by kicking 5 field goals. You've got to score and get in the end zone if you're going to compete with the Alabamas and the Georgias.
I'll say this, like, whenever you get that D. Williams punt return, Tennessee, it was fine at the time because you were rolling, you were just chipping away. But, like, against Alabama, if you get a return like that, you got to score. You can't settle for 3, as you pointed out. I mean, you got to go and you got to absolutely score. Tennessee 6 of 6 in the red zone on Saturday, got 3 touchdowns out of it. Tennessee's been really efficient in the red zone. And then defensively, like you pointed out, just a couple plays that come to mind. Remember was it Ball State or I think it was Ball State, the big fumble inside the red zone. Of course, Trayvon Flowers getting an interception in the red zone. I can't remember if they were in the red zone, but Florida was knocking on it before Amari Thomas knocked that football out. They've been, bend but not break and playing complementary football when it matters. That's big. That's how you complement this offense again. You'll have bad days. You'll have those days against Florida. Hopefully not many of them. But if you can force a turnover late, if you can, keep them out of the end zone and make them kick field goals, as you pointed out, with this offense, that's going to be good enough against a lot of teams. Now, against the Alabamas and against the Georgias, you need it all to work. But you can't really fault much about the red zone on both sides of the football for Tennessee. They've been pretty efficient, both offensively and defensively.
Brad Burnett in the chat for 5. Again, Brad's being very generous because Eric's here. I'm just going to make Eric kind of move in and take over that chair so Brad keeps giving super chats. Says, I don't give a damn about the whole state of Alabama. Appreciate that, Brad. Jason Brown for 2 says, we are back if we can keep this staff together. GBO. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Staff continuity is important. And
I'll tell you this, though. There's 2 head coaches on this staff, and Alex Golesh, who I think will be a head coach soon. I mean, I'm not hearing anything right now, but that he's going to be in that coaching carousel at the group of 5 level, this offseason. I think Tim Banks eventually will be a head coach as well, but the Jeremy Pruitt staff, you had turnover every single year, and so far through two years, you've had one position coach that's left, and it's been good.
The good thing about the offense, and I'm not taking away from Golesh, I think he's a great coach. It's Josh Heupel's offense.
Yeah.
But you like that they've had that, they've worked together for so long. But yeah, I agree. I think he will eventually be a head coach. Hopefully a little bit later. Hopefully he sticks around a couple more years. We got almost 300 people watching live on this Monday morning show. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you guys do smash that thumbs up. Share it out. Let somebody know. You can put it out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Also, make sure you guys check out Locked On Vols. All the link for Eric are in the description below. So go make sure you sub up Locked On Vols. Check out VolQuest.com. Still got $1 for a year. That's unbelievable. If you don't take advantage of that $1 deal, sometimes I hate it though because I'm a long-time paying customer. When the $1 deal comes out, holy cow, the message board just goes down the drain. But other than that, I'm there for the articles, the podcast, all that kind of quality content. Let's talk a little bit more about this LSU game. Then we'll do a quick little preview of Alabama. What are your biggest takeaways from this LSU game? And again, just a boat race. Just never looked back. 40-13, total domination on the road. But what are your really key takeaways? What you liked about this game?
Pulling out my notepad here. I've got it all listed here for a little show prep. Number one big takeaway, you pointed out this earlier, this team is a good football team. This team is a top 10 football team. We got to start treating it like it's a top 10 football team. You might lose on Saturday, but you're still a top 10 football team. And that's my biggest takeaway. This is not only a good and efficient football team, this is one of the better football teams in the country. The defense was not always going to be as bad as it was against Florida. It might not be good. It might not be top half of the SEC, but you knew it wasn't going to be that bad. And I think they responded well. And the 2 times LSU scored on Saturday, it was plays of 13, plays of 12, going 93 and 75 yards down the field. Didn't give up the big play, which was huge. The defensive line, man, you might not, I mean, Byron Young's an all-star in my opinion, but you might not have many all-stars on that group. But what Rodney Garner is getting from the collection of guys that he's playing has been fantastic. The defensive line alone on Saturday had 27 tackles. What a game from the defensive line. That was a big takeaway. Offensive tackle, no Gerald Mincey. Thought J.J. Crawford played a really, really nice football game. But the other big takeaway I had, the fans, just incredible. I mentioned it early. I mean, it felt like I was down on the field whenever the clock hit 0, and it was so loud. Couldn't hear myself think. It felt like you were kneeling. But those are some of my bigger takeaways from the football game. No surprise about the offense. The offense goes and does what it does. The defense, what a bounce back effort. Fantastic game from Tennessee's defense. And you're going to need effort and takeaways like that, of course, against Alabama.
One thing I really liked, and we talked about it going into the game, could Tennessee have success in the running game aside from Hendon Hooker, right? And one of the biggest notes, takeaways I had from the game is Tennessee had the lead late. I think it was 37-13. And they just go a whole lot of Jabari Small running the football. 9 minutes taken off the clock. We saw them try that against Florida, and it looked like a train wreck. They're standing around looking at each other. I think at one point they had to use a timeout as the play clock. They just didn't look comfortable running that clock. And, man, to see not just the time management there, but to see Jabari Small go for over 100. Jalen Wright, 12 carries, 59 yards. And Hendon Hooker did add 56. I think for this offense to really be successful running the football, you've got to mix Hendon Hooker in there. But it was great to see Jabari Small go out and run the football against a legitimate SEC defense.
You know, Brent Hubb said this on our show last night. It's kind of weird, but since he got banged up with the shoulder recently, he's looked like a different guy. I mean, he's run with conviction against Florida. He looked good on Saturday, and he's got a couple, 30 and 40-yard runs sprinkled in there, which is always nice. But just the hard-nosed running in front of your pads, that forward lean, getting you 5 yards a pop. That's what we saw with Jabari Small, and he was really, really good. His touchdown, that's 5-6-yarder there in the second half, untouched. What a nice little lead in there from Princeton Fant and a seal from J.J. Crawford. He looks good. But, yeah, it's so important to have that running game because, again, Tennessee against Alabama, Tennessee against Georgia last year, you didn't have that running game. And so that's one of my biggest storylines heading into this week is what's Tennessee's run game going to look like against the big boys, against Alabama, because when you got that run game going, it opens up so much. And it was great to see. Tennessee, again, running for over 200 yards. This is a defense. Had a couple blowouts in there, understanding that. But this is a defense that was averaging 109 yards given up on the run so far this year, which is one of the best in the SEC. They were really, really good in that regard, and Tennessee just smoked them. So good to see. Jalen Wright still looks the best running the football. He's bigger. He's running hard. Just hang on to the football, man. I mean, it was fortunate that it went out of bounds on Saturday, but you just kind of saw Jerry Mack saying, dude, like, I can't keep putting you out there if you're doing that, man. So, I mean, he's going to continue to play. I mean, Dylan Sampson's not ready to be RB2, but impressed with Tennessee's run game. It was big. And Hendon Hooker didn't have to be Superman. He might have to be Superman to beat Alabama, but he didn't have to be close to being Superman because everybody else stepped up against LSU.
Yeah, I think when Wright put that ball on the ground, it seemed like Jerry Mack was right there on the sideline just looking at him like, come on. Like you said, he runs hard, he runs physical. You have to protect the football. We're going to get you out of here in just a couple minutes. We got Alabama. Bama Hate Week rolls on. Big-time matchup. And talking about the running game, I think that's going to be a key matchup for Tennessee in this game. Look, their run defense is elite. Very, very solid run defense. Can they contain Jahmyr Gibbs? What do you think going into this matchup with Alabama? Do you like Tennessee's odds? What's the line? 9.5, I think. What does Tennessee have to do to go out and compete with Alabama? And should we – no moral victories. Let's not just compete. Can Tennessee go beat Alabama on Saturday?
Yeah, it's funny. As soon as we get done here with a little Locked On Talkin VAWLS segment, I'm going to dive into my Alabama prep. I'm going to dive into the stats, write it all down, key players and all that. Because we know who Alabama is, but that's just kind of my routine on Monday mornings. And I got a call coming up later this afternoon. So I'll know a lot more about exactly what makes this Alabama team tick. But Jahmyr Gibbs is good. They got a couple options. That backup quarterback Milroe is a load if he's in that football game, which I anticipate Bryce Young playing in this football game. But still, Tennessee's rush defense has kind of been twofold. It's been really good. Tennessee's rush defense, 55 yards surrendered against LSU. That looks amazing. That was on 29 attempts, I believe. But also the caveat as well, LSU was in a position to throw the football a ton in that football game because they were down from right out of the gate. And a lot of people are saying, well, yeah, the rush defense is good. It's because you can get whatever you want to through the air against Tennessee. And I think some can be true a little bit, but don't take away this front seven, this defense overall has been really good against the run. And you're going to need to do that against teams like Alabama. You got to win the line of scrimmage or at least be complimentary in terms of the line of scrimmage play. In terms of does Tennessee have a chance to beat Alabama? Absolutely. Will Tennessee beat Alabama? I don't know. But I do agree with you there. No moral victories. Last year Tennessee was playing with Alabama. Tennessee had Nick Saban throwing fits on the sideline in the fourth quarter. You still got blown out, but you did some things in that game against Alabama last year. You're like, okay, you can kind of see it a little bit. Same with Georgia a little bit in the first half last year. If you're into the moral victory camp, I think those were more of the moral victories. You're in a position to where you're an underdog. You're down a touchdown plus, but you can certainly win this football game because you have an offense that's humming and because you have a quarterback in Hendon Hooker. So run the football, be efficient. I believe Hendon Hooker will need to be Superman. He will need to be Florida-esque Hendon Hooker to win this football game just because it is Alabama. You're going to have to find some way to neutralize Will Anderson Jr. I think for the most part, Tennessee did a good job with B.J. Ojulari, and I know Ollie Gay made some plays, but they did a good job overall. Will Anderson Jr. is a different animal, best football player in the country, so they're going to have to find a way to neutralize that. It's going to be fun breaking down this matchup at every single level. Alabama's good. Alabama's Alabama, right? Nick Saban is a defensive backs coach. He is a DB's guru. He's going to be doing something to disguise some coverage and try to confuse Hendon Hooker. That's going to be a good battle, but should be a really, really good football game. Tennessee absolutely has an opportunity to win this football game. Don't know if it'll happen. Nobody in the country is going to pick Tennessee unless they're trying to get some clicks here. But I think Tennessee does have an opportunity, and we'll just have to see if they can go out, get some breaks, find a way to execute, and see what happens. Because if Tennessee does win on the third Saturday of October, I might not be able to make it home. Knoxville is going to be on fire.
Yeah, man, that is like we said at the top of the show. It seems like every single week it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If Tennessee finds a way to go out Saturday and get it done, let's go. The sky's the limit, and it's year two for Josh Heupel. Eric, always a pleasure. Always love the Locked On Talkin VAWLS crossovers. Guys, make sure you go give Eric a sub. Locked On VAWLS. The link's in the description below. His Twitter bio is in the description below. Also, go check out VolQuest.com. Tons of good content. But Eric's going to be breaking down this Alabama matchup all week long, every single day. You get about 30 minutes of Locked On VAWLS. Eric, always a pleasure, buddy. Thanks for jumping on. Have a good day, buddy.
Hey, Boogie, appreciate it, man. Always love coming on. We'll have Boogie on Locked On VAWLS for 20 minutes on Friday morning, so go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. You'll see Boogie on my show. Everybody in the chats, man, this is the highlight of coming on your show. I love just reading over here, scrolling the live chat. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys. Have a great Monday.
Later, buddy. We still got about 350 people watching live. Thank you guys for being here on this Monday morning. We're going to get Gabe on here in just a second. Make sure you guys do smash that thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. If you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, if you're following Eric Cain on over here, make sure you guys subscribe. This channel, we're not media. We're not experts. We're not insiders. It is for the fans, by the fans. So if you like what we do, give us a subscription. Hit that sub down below. If you want to give a little bit more, you can become a member of the channel. Hit that join button as well. But check out the merchandise. Go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. The link to that is also in the description. Look, it's Bama Hate Week. What better shirt to wear than Buck Family? You guys demanded it, so we gave it to you. Limited edition. It's going to be gone. After the game Saturday, we'll be live right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network, hanging out, hopefully celebrating after that live stream. This shirt is going to be deleted forever, so you better get one while you can. Check this out. You guys know the deal. You see the memes. Don't matter. Vols by Fitty. So we got the Vols by Fitty merch just added yesterday. Go check those out as well. Different styles, colors, designs, all kinds of sizes. If you don't have your size, if you change the color or the style, Depends on what type of merch Bonfire has. But again, go check it all out. Bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We appreciate the support. We got a big week coming up. Big week coming up. As Eric kind of teased there, said Ben McKee from Go Balls 24/7 is going to be on the show Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. Looking forward to talking to him. Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, late night Talkin VAWLS. We're going to have the fan call-in show, always a blast as well. Going to drop as many videos as we can. Look, it's Bama week, man. You guys are starved for content during Bama week, so we'll continue to drop videos, may even do some bonus live streams. If you guys continue to show up, and do like our friend did in the chat. Who was it? Mark Salyers. Get that leaderboard back up there. Mark Salyers coming in, dropping a $100 super chat. That's how we continue to bring more live streams in the morning. Brent Bridges for 10. Thank you for super chat. Means nothing at all, but last 3 top 25 games have ended with picks. Yeah, that's closing it out, man. Closing it out, making a play on defense. Thank you, Brent, for the super chat. Let's get Gabriel in here. What's up, Gabriel, G-Daddy, G-Money, Dauber's son. The list goes on and on. How you feeling, buddy, on this Monday morning? You still fired up?
Good morning. I am pretty fired up. I'm a little tired still, but just from waking up early. But I am still fired up, man. This game on Saturday was one of my favorite Tennessee games I've ever watched. Just because I've never in my life seen Tennessee handle a solid SEC opponent like that. Never in my life have I seen Tennessee look as much as the team they're hyped up to be than they were on Saturday. I mean, you know, it was also very nice kind of feeling right about the game. You know, walking up to I said a couple times, I said on, I think last Monday's stream, you know, is anybody surprised that we're only favored by 3? I thought that was the weirdest thing in the world. I was like, oh, we could beat them by two touchdowns. We ended up beating them by 4. You know, that's just the craziest thing. It was so fun to watch. I didn't sit down for like the first quarter and a half. It was such an exciting game to watch, and I'm still hooked on the. I haven't moved on to Bama week yet. Honestly, I'm still hooked on this LSU game just because it was. Again, you have to remember that this is new to me. You know, this is new watching. I mean, we saw Tennessee win some big games, win some miracle games back in 2015, 2016. Well, really just 2016, but. That wasn't a legitimate. It wasn't legitimate. You know, it was, well, we won by the skin of our teeth, and maybe we're an okay team. This feels different. Tennessee is at another level right now, going into Bama week, and they just manhandled LSU on the road. So yeah, I'm feeling good.
And it's not just LSU. Like, when you look at the body of work, and that's the thing, and a lot of people want to discredit what Tennessee's done, whatever. We'll leave that in the past for now. You look at that Pitt game. Tennessee could have blown the doors off of Pitt, but they shot themselves in the foot. They made a lot of mistakes, and they still got out with the win. The Florida game, same deal. They could have ran Florida out of Neyland Stadium, and even being up 17 late in that game, Florida still made you a little bit nervous at the end with the onside kick and the way the finish played out. Right. But then you go down and you just absolutely destroy LSU. And again, people can discredit whoever, whatever. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is Tennessee's sitting here at 5-0, ranked 6th in the country. But you think some of it's battered ball syndrome to look at it, and it's kind of like, we can't really be this good, can we, Gabe? We can't really be this good.
Well, yeah, and part of it too is historically, if a Tennessee team has a bad flaw, it doesn't get fixed during the season. It doesn't get fixed. In 2015, Tennessee couldn't close out a game to save their life. It was just a problem the whole season. Against Florida, we were saying, oh, gosh dang it, we can't, I know we hate on the people that say this, but, we can't do that against better teams because they will come back and then beat us. This game, we didn't give them a chance at coming back. To show that you can actually take that and the 4-minute offense that we saw struggling against Florida, to show that you can take stuff like that on a week-to-week basis and actually improve, shows that we have something special on our hands. I'm just saying. So yeah, because it is battered ball syndrome, because we see these patterns and they never get fixed. We see, oh man, Florida put up 2 touchdowns on us almost win the game. We can't do that against LSU. We can't do that against Alabama. We can't do that against Georgia. If we get ahead, well, we saw that, Tennessee fixed it. Tennessee not only didn't let LSU come back, not even close. That 4-minute offense you briefly touched on as well ended up taking 9 minutes off the clock. That is dominant right there. And again, it does say more about, in my opinion, it says more about Tennessee than it does LSU. I mean, LSU maybe is not, the team that some people were saying they were, but they're still a good SEC football team. I think they could go out there and beat any other SEC East team, maybe other than Georgia. So, BJ Ojulari, like you briefly touched on as well, was basically a non-factor. I think he had like 4 or 5 tackles. The entire LSU team had 2 tackles for loss. So I don't know, man. I mean, I was so impressed with our defense. I know we disagreed a little last night about Kamal Haddon's play. I thought he looked okay. I thought Kamal Haddon looked okay. I know, he wrapped up finally on a few tackles. Poor Christian Charles was getting bullied. I think Christian Charles probably gave up at least half of Jaden Daniels' passing yards. I don't know that for sure, but that's what it looked like, because it seemed like every completion Jaden was completing, you'd look and see Charles 14 covering whatever wide receiver completed it. So,
well, he led the team in tackles too, and if you're a corner and you're
Right.
leading the team in tackles, you're probably not doing your job. Dakota brought up a good point in the chat there, talking about changing as the season goes on. That's coaching, man. That's coaches that are actually coaching, watching film, making changes as the year progresses, and just continuing talking about the defensive backs. And I still need to go back and watch the replay and really focus on it. But the secondary as a whole, no matter who we're talking about, whether we're picking on Warren Burrell before the injury or we're picking on the safeties, we're picking on Christian Charles, doesn't matter who we're picking on. The bottom line is they're not very good. And you look at statistically, like just compare the numbers for the year, Alabama versus Tennessee. People would say Alabama has one of the best defenses in the country. They're only giving up 12.5 points a game. Tennessee's only giving up 17.8. But then you go look at rushing yards. And that's where this Rodney Garner defensive line really shines. Of course, I like the way they got after the quarterback on Saturday against LSU, but Alabama giving up 84 rushing yards a game. Tennessee only gives up 89. That's pretty dang close when you've got an elite offense. But then you flip over to passing yards per game. Alabama's only giving up 166. Tennessee on average, 307.4 yards per game through the air. This secondary is just not very good. It is what it is. And the bottom line is you can't magically create players, right? That's what when Warren Burrell went down and everybody's like, well, who's going to step up? Who's going to fill in? Where's Brandon Turnage? These coaches cannot just magically create a player and plug them in. They can't sell a player on NCAA 13 for $50 and just bump them up to a 99 and all of a sudden go win. They can't do that. But I like the change in game plan. We've seen this coaching staff put together different game plans depending on who they're playing. And yeah, Anthony Richardson had a field day, but Tennessee liked their odds of going out, playing zone, backing up, keeping them in front. But against LSU, not only were they the stunts up front, the different things they were doing, they were also bringing pressure from the second level, the third level. They brought a lot of blitzes. I liked the defensive game plan against LSU. But again, coaches adapting and changing and growing as the season goes on. But I think the secondary, I hope they continue to stay aggressive against this Alabama team on Saturday.
I hope so too. And I guess it all depends on who is that quarterback. And I don't think it's going to be Bryce Young. He's more hurt than they're saying. I fully believe that. Somebody pointed out that he was in warm-ups Saturday throwing underhands. He couldn't even throw it overhanded. And you're telling me he's going to be out there playing to play Tennessee in a week?
He'll do that again this week. He'll do it again. They'll say he's a game-time decision, and he'll walk out there and take a few snaps. I don't think he plays either. With it being his throwing arm, I just don't see it.
And Jaden Milroe, don't get me wrong, he is a scary player. He is not a Bryce Young though. He's the type of guy that he can throw. He can't throw as well as Bryce Young. So that plays into Tennessee's hands, given Tennessee's rushing defense and lack of passing defense. If we can stop that, if we can make Alabama one-dimensional, which is going to be easier said than done, because Jahmyr Gibbs is a scary football player. Jahmyr Gibbs is we say this about almost every Alabama running back that comes through there, but Jahmyr Gibbs is like a generational talent. He is terrifying. If we can stop Jahmyr Gibbs, I think we're robbing Alabama of 10 or 14 points, if I'm being completely honest. If we can just hold that man out of the end zone. Jaden Milroe can't put the team on his back. I'm just saying. He doesn't have that experience. He's such a talented athlete, but he can't put the team on his back. So, if we can stop Jahmyr Gibbs, I think that's the ticket. Our defensive line, get those freshmen in there. I saw Tyree West. Now, he wasn't a huge impact player, but there was a play that impressed me. I think it was Jaden Daniels. When they got up, I think it was their last drive, LSU's last drive, and they were driving up the field, and they were in the red zone, and Jaden Daniels hit that one run where he got like down inside the 5. Tyree West made that tackle because he chased. You see there, he's up in the secondary. I forget whether it's a safety, who's in front of Jaden Daniels. And here comes Tyree West from off the screen, just like however much he weighs, 260 pounds, sprinting off the edge of the screen, coming from behind and making that play against Jaden Daniels. That just shows you how freak of an athlete he is. These freshman defensive linemen are exciting, and I expect them to make an impact against Bama as well.
Sounds like we're both in agreement that Bryce Young's not going to play. So if that's the case, the game plan going into this Alabama game is 100% going to be stopping Milroe from running the football, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you said it. You talked about his accuracy, and I watched some of that Alabama Texas A&M game, and especially when he was pressured and he felt like he couldn't get out of the pocket, he struggled with accuracy at times. His line against A&M, 12 of 19 for 111 yards, 111 yards. Now, so let's flip over and let's say, okay, that's the game plan is going to be to contain Milroe, keep him in the pocket, stay in your pass rushing lanes. So let's look at the rest of the season. Let's look at history, right? Because Tennessee played Florida. Richardson's a running quarterback. They played LSU. Jaden Daniels, running quarterback. Against Florida, they held Anthony Richardson to 62 rushing yards. 62 rushing yards on the day, averaged 3.6 yards per carry. Jaden Daniels against Tennessee carried the football 16 times for 38 yards, averaged 2.4 yards per carry. So if Bryce Young is out, how much more do you like Tennessee's odds to go out there, stop Milroe, contain him, and go take care of business? And I know it's Alabama. They've got weapons all over the field. You got to like your odds if Bryce Young's on the sideline.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it swings the line a few points, I really do. Because, I mean, Jaden Milroe can't account for that many points. He just can't. I mean, they scored 24 against Texas A&M, right? And Texas A&M's defense is a good, I mean, it's an SEC defense. It's solid. They have a lot of talent, but it's not a defense that is really dominant in an area like Tennessee is dominant in rushing, if I'm not mistaken. So, if we can stop that rushing attack, then, I mean, arguably, I don't know, would you agree that the reason Texas A&M lost that game is because they got gashed by Jahmyr Gibbs? I mean, if they didn't get just destroyed by a couple of that man's runs, then I don't think Alabama wins that game.
Yeah, 154 yards. He averaged almost 7.5 yards a carry.
It's
in that
unreal.
game.
It's unreal. So if you can hold Jahmyr Gibbs out of the end zone, you're forcing Jaden Milroe to put the team on his back and make plays. I think he's a talented guy. I think he's going to be able to do that at some point. I don't think he can do that right now. So they're going to have a week to game plan around him. They'll draw up some things. They'll try and make us pay for it. We'll have to see what it looks like. But I do like Tennessee's odds, if Bryce Young doesn't play. And I don't care about the whole, we want to beat Alabama healthy argument. That's stupid. Alabama is healthy other than their quarterback is still a generational talent, 5-star that any other team would would be salivating to get. So they have plenty of talent. They're still a number 3 in the country Alabama team. If we beat them, it's still just as big of a deal.
Nobody's feeling sorry for Tennessee because they don't have Cedric Tillman. That's not the way the world works. It's like Eric said at the top of the show. That's football. People get banged up. People get hurt. We're without our top wide receiver. We're without our top corner. As crazy as that sounds, we're without Warren Burrell for the rest of the year. Nobody's feeling sorry for Tennessee. Nobody's saying, well, look, they've done all this without Cedric Tillman. No, it's just football. It is what it is. We got almost over 350 people watching on this Monday morning show. Appreciate you guys being here with us. Make sure you guys do smash the thumbs up. I don't know how long we're going to go. We'll stay live for a little bit, talk about this LSU game, talk about Alabama. We'll talk about whatever you guys want. It's Bama hate week. But we got a lot of people in the chat that are not members of this channel. I want to change that. You know, old Buck usually says, if you don't have a power T beside your name in the chat, you must be a Florida fan. So if you can afford it and you want to support what we do, hit that join button down below. I've also got it pinned at the top. If you got an Apple product, there is a link pinned to the top of the chat. You can click that, become a member of this channel. Look, it's as little as 99 cents a month. 99 cents a month financially contributing to what we do. We are right around the corner from 16,000 subscribers. If every one of you gave 99 cents a month, guess what? We're going to be going live every single day, every single morning, every single evening, all kinds of content coming your way. So close. Biggest month easily in the history of the channel last month. Biggest month ever. We're going to beat that in October, and it's because of you guys. We appreciate your support. If you don't have the money and you can't contribute, that's fine. Just hit that thumbs up. Either way, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit more about that LSU game. We'll continue to break down Alabama as we move throughout the week. Again, just a reminder, tomorrow, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, fan call-in show. And then Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Go Vols 24/7. Ben McKee is going to be on the show, also from the Swain event. You guys know him. You know him well. He's going to come on the channel, talk a little bit about that Alabama game. And then we'll do a tailgate show on Saturday, no doubt, post-game show immediately after, hopefully lighting up some cigars and celebrating it. Let's go back and talk a little bit more about that LSU game. What were your key takeaways? We talked about it a little bit. What else did you like about Tennessee just going down there and destroying LSU on the road?
Well, offensively, running game. We've been waiting for it all year. We've been waiting for a decent running performance. You could argue we haven't had to have a decent running performance because our passing game is so good. But what did we say? Well, what has Josh Heupel said since basically the beginning of his tenure? It starts with the run game in this offense.
Yep.
Tennessee, like Eric said, Tennessee doesn't need Hendon Hooker to be Superman when they have a rushing attack. When they have we saw Brew McCoy carve up the entire defense all day long, because we had our running game going. 263 yards on the ground. Jabari Small had 127 rushing yards. That is a huge day for him, and he looked the part too. He broke those tackles that we've been saying they need to break. Those little arm tackles that just didn't feel like they were shaking all season long. Just felt like they had one more tackle to beat to get to the next level, and it's like they couldn't break it. They broke those tackles, and it's not like LSU's defense is full of bad tacklers either. They have a lot of talent on that defense, and they were able to get by them. So,
well, it's funny you said earlier. You were looking at the LSU game saying, man, why Tennessee could beat them by a couple of touchdowns. And it's funny to go back and look at that because LSU's defense is good. And going into the game, everybody was talking about how good the LSU defense is. And then after Tennessee wins, it quickly becomes, LSU wasn't very good. They're not the LSU of old. It's funny how things change before the game and after a big-time win. But you got to give Tennessee credit. What else did you like from that LSU game?
I mean, you have to love the defense, right? You have to love the fact that we held a not untalented LSU top 25 team to under 2 touchdowns. They scored 2 touchdowns, but points wise, under 2 touchdowns. You have to love that. 5 sacks. Was it 6 sacks? I think it was 5 officially. The defensive line was disruptive. The secondary kept it in front of them. They didn't get beat one time deep. I know we've said Jaden Daniels has trouble taking deep shots. I fully believe the deep shots just weren't there. And when they tried to do it, Tennessee's defensive line was there before he could throw it. I mean, defensively, probably the best performance I've seen out of Tennessee since Josh Heupel, and Tim Banks and all them came into Knoxville. I mean, just dominant. I mean, it was just such a good. I mean, special teams had a good day. They haven't been looking good this year. D. Williams. I was a little shocked to, I knew he was going to make an impact, but I thought he was going to maybe make a little bit more of an impact. That punt return was awesome. I expected to see him on defense. I didn't see him out there at all. I don't think he was playing. I don't
know how many snaps he even ended up with, but
yeah,
I'm excited by the fact that the coaching staff trusted him enough to get him out there and let him return punts. And that just shows you how electric he is. He showed you a little flash of what he can bring on special teams.
Yeah, he did. And they were actually rotating. Have they been doing this? Have they been rotating safeties this season? I haven't. I know they've been rotating corners a good little bit throughout the game, but I haven't seen. I feel like it's normally just Trey Flowers and Jalen McCullough out there, but they were rotating Danico Slaughter in that. I don't know if it was free safety or strong safety position. They were rotating him in, which is good to get those guys some meaningful game time experience, especially since Jalen. Here's the thing. I think I personally believe that Jalen McCullough is gonna be playing this weekend. I think that he's gonna get out of the scenario pretty quickly. I hope he does. I don't think there's gonna be any team discipline because, from my perspective, I don't think he did anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. He did something stupid, which was chase the guy out of his house and then hit him.
That's the mistake, and that's why I do think I think he will be suspended on Saturday. I do not think he plays on Saturday. You can't. And anybody that missed it, I made a video on this morning. Tank McCullough, drunk guy at a party in his apartment complex, goes out to his car, comes back, accidentally goes into Tank McCullough's apartment instead of the apartment he was having a party at. Tank McCullough, he knocks on the door. Nobody answers. He just walks in. What do you do? Anybody that's criticizing Jalen McCullough, and I get it because there is some more to this story. What do you do if somebody walks into your apartment and is standing in your living room and you get up and you're like, what the heck, man? And the guy says, calm down, you blank. Mm-hmm. What do you – I don't know if you don't just deck him right there. Like, I don't know if I let him get out the door. And I don't know. I don't know how I would react. The problem is, like you said, Tank McCullough followed him out of the apartment. The guy's trying to leave, tracks him down, allegedly, I guess, I don't know, punches him, knocks his teeth out, knocks him out.
From what it seems, he punched him right there at in the hall where the stairs are. So it's not like he chased him that far, but it was like a 30 feet thing. I think it's if he gets any disciplinary measure, I think it'll be one game. I mean, simply for the fact that, dude, you knocked another guy out. You didn't have to do that. Come on, be smarter. I don't think he's going to face any larger repercussions. He stayed silent. I think that's largely why he got arrested, because he didn't want anything he said to get misconstrued. Smart,
smart move,
very, very smart move. The moment he gets lawyered up, it's over. So, but anyway, not to go down that rabbit hole. If y'all want to talk about it, y'all can go. Watch the video this morning and talk about it in the comments.
Yeah, I'm going to catch up on Super Chats, but that's the whole thing, is because of the timing of it, because it happened on Sunday afternoon. He's likely going to be out against Alabama. And then, like you said, I think he lawyers up. This whole thing will be dropped, and he'll probably be back the next week. Let me catch up on Super Chats here. Drunken VFL becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that support. Jay Russell also becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, guys. You've got access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, fan call-ins, all kinds of fun stuff. Let's keep this membership drive going, man. Let's let you guys that are members harass the ones that are not. Ask them why they don't have a Power T beside their name. But in all seriousness, we appreciate the support. Thank you, Jay Russell. Jarrett Black for 5. Thank you for Super Chat. I haven't seen the whole live stream. I was wondering if anyone has mentioned how Paul Feinbaum mentioned he thinks that Oklahoma might come after Josh Heupel. I'm thinking about making a video on this topic alone. I don't see it. I just don't see it, because Josh Heupel was basically the scapegoat. He was ran out of town when he was the co-offensive coordinator or whatever, and I don't pretend to know all the drama and the inside with him and Stoops and all that stuff, but I just, especially when you got the working relationship that he has with Danny White, he knows he's got all the money he needs here for NIL. He's got the administration is in alignment. I think Josh Heupel, I think he knew what he was getting at Tennessee. I think he fell in love with Tennessee during that Ole Miss game last year.
Yeah, and if we just pay Josh what he deserves, I know he got an extension or a raise as well in the offseason that wasn't announced until a few weeks ago. After this season, he's getting a massive raise. He's getting, I think he's still, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's still the 12th or 13th highest paid coach in the SEC. So he is not paid like the Lane Kiffins or the Sabans or the Smarts or the Jimbo Fisher, of course, but definitely not. Nobody's going to be paid like Brian Kelly. But he's going to get a raise. And again, because of the stability in the administration and where he has this, I mean, he legitimately believes in relationships with the team. Yeah, he's not going, but yeah, if Boogie's going to make a video for the on that topic, watch out for that, and then I can discuss it further. But
I mean, I just think, all last year you question it, right? Is Josh Heupel legit? Like, is he truly the guy? Is he as good as we think he is, or is he as good as we hope he is? It's year 2, and Tennessee's ranked 6th in the country, and we're sitting here talking about that they have a legitimate shot to go beat Alabama. Like I said to Eric earlier. No moral victories. No moral victories. I'm not going to get on here after the game if Tennessee loses and go, well, we gave it the old college trot. No. Go beat them. Let's go beat Alabama. You made a statement last week against LSU. Let's go make a statement against Alabama this week. Huge environment, man. Again. We just did this. We just did it for Florida. And I think it's official. They doing the orange out? Like, is all that official?
I don't think it's official. No, I saw somebody said it was official, but I think they did that to get some clicks and kind of spread the word. Danny White hadn't said anything about it. I mean,
usually he sees that stuff, and when it picks up momentum, he'll latch on and do it.
He will do it. It will happen. It's just not official yet because it's caught enough momentum at this point. He's going to see it, announce it, as well as the whole watch party thing, which I wish I was in Knoxville to go to one of those, but.
I see people talking about Thompson Bowling Arena. Let's move it out of Volunteer Village. Gosh. But dude, how smart is that? And Danny White, I know we praise him all the time, but still probably not enough, man. That dude truly understands college football, college athletics. And it's like, if the fans want to orange out, let's do an orange out. If they want a watch party at Thompson Bowling, like, I love his quote tweets when he's like, I don't know. Do you promise to sell out Thompson Bowling Arena? Like, can we do that? Can we sell out Neyland Stadium and Thompson Bowling Arena for a let's freaking go. Why not? You talk about a story. You talk about a news story. Well, Tennessee football is so hot that they sold out not only their football stadium, but also their basketball arena. Yeah. That's the type of crap that kids, these recruits, will eat up and love. They will love it. Let's do it.
Massive. And that, I hope that happens because, yeah, that would be sick. But yeah, Danny White is like Xavier just said, we hit the jackpot with Danny White. We really did. I don't know how they got Danny White over here. He brought Josh Heupel with him. I mean, we can thank Josh Heupel for bringing our football team back all we want. It started with Danny White and putting the VOLS back on the stadium. Just stuff like that. Just sitting there and learning what Tennessee means to these fans is more than anybody could ask for. I mean, he has been so legitimate, and it's not just legitimate, but like another level of just love for the program, understanding how passionate Tennessee fans are, and giving them some control when it comes to what they want to see, because that's how you make people happy. So yeah, I love Danny White, and I hope that watch party does happen.
You mentioned a key word in there too, what a true leader is, and that's listen. He listens to people. And it's like the letters thing. That all started with Jason Swain. Like, Swain had him on his show and said, hey, man, you got to bring the letters back. And he's like, what letters? Like, tell me what you're talking about. And Jason Swain tells him, he's like, oh, okay. The next thing you know, he's got those letters pulled out of storage from who knows where and out in front of the stadium saying, we're going to put these letters up, but come take your picture with them until we can get them up on. Like, the dude just gets it. He is a businessman. He's modern, but stays true to tradition, which I love everything about that. Xavier for 10, thank you for Super Chat, my man. I love how Xavier says, yeah, I can't always do the morning show, Boogie. Sometimes I'll jump on when I can because I got to work, but yet he's always in the chat, so his production must be really low on Monday mornings at work. Xavier said, I said last night, it's Hate Bama week. The only reason the Alabama fans say Roll Tide is because they can't spell elephant. Thank you for the Super Chat, Xavier. Good to always see you in the chat, buddy. Looking forward to getting you back on here and talking some Tennessee football. Tennessee Homestead says, can't wait for Saturday. Yeah, big-time atmosphere. Cannot wait. Gabriel, what else is on your mind? We were going to do an hour. We can keep going. You got anything else you want to talk about, or should we just wrap it up and go pour a cup of coffee?
I don't know, man. I mean, what, I can't personally put into words how happy I am about this team. I've said it before, but 2016 was a good team. It's the best team in recent Tennessee history. It didn't feel like this. 2016 didn't feel like this season feels. It just didn't. We didn't have the high-powered offense. We had playmakers, but we didn't have this offense. We didn't see improvement in any of the problems we had going out throughout the. Hey, I don't. Listen.
Sorry.
No,
Sorry.
okay,
I shouldn't put jokes. I shouldn't put jokes on the screen while you're in the middle of that statement.
Well, I'm not. I get distracted from it, but that's because I haven't had my energy drink in the morning to focus up. But
yeah, me either. Me either, Gabe. I've not had my energy drinks either, Gabe. Gabe, I've already made a video. I've been on live with Eric for 30 minutes. Let's go. It's Bama week, brother. No excuses.
I didn't have any in the fridge. I got to run down to 7-Eleven and grab me something, but. No, listen, because I want to talk Tennessee football. I could sit here all day long and just run in circles and talk about Tennessee football and where this program is headed because it feels incredible. I was sitting there all Saturday just smiling because this game, right, it was sort of a proving grounds. This LSU game was a proving grounds. It was, okay, well, you barely beat Pitt. Okay. You barely beat Florida. Okay. Some people are saying those teams aren't as good as we thought they were when we played them, of course. But then you go to this LSU game and there's a lot of people that are confident that LSU is going to pull off this upset because either LSU is underrated or Tennessee's overrated. This was a statement game. People saying, Tennessee, they might not be as good as they're saying. They're ranked number 8 in the country. I don't know if I believe it. Go to Death Valley, beat a top 25 LSU team on the road 40-13. That's something not a lot of teams can do. I'm just saying. That had me so excited. That had me so hyped up all Saturday. Yesterday, I was just waiting for today just to talk just to express my excitement over the whole program, the whole team. I know the Jalen McCullough news puts a little bit of a cold, damp rag on the fire, but I mean, does it really? I mean, some people are saying that means we're back. Having players arrested every week. It feels like some people are saying it feels like the good old days.
The thing about the Jalen McCullough thing, and it's always weird for me when somebody gets arrested to make a video on it. But at the same time, it's news, and I'm gonna make a video on it. But when I was reading through that and getting the full information, I think if people will actually read it, and yeah, it's negative. It's negative press. It's bad press. But if people will actually read through the story and ask themselves, what would I have done? I think they can understand where Tank McCullough came from. And look at his resume. Look at his time at Tennessee. He's not a kid that's gotten in trouble. He's kept his nose clean.
Yeah.
So I think people will be a little bit understanding of that. Look, we got 403 people watching live. I ain't wrapping this freaking show. I'm not wrapping the show. I'm going to destroy your all's productivity on Monday. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Do us a favor, though. Smash that thumbs up. That's quick and free and easy. Now, if you want to do a little bit more, become a member of the channel. Here's the deal. We're going into overtime. We're going to stay live. We're going to keep talking. You guys want a Gabriel custom Talkin VAWLS emoji. You guys want one. I've seen you say it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put up the challenge. I got the number 10. The number 10 is up here on my screen right now. If we get 10 new members before the end of the show, and that could be 20 minutes, it could be 3 hours. You never know. Gabriel doesn't even know. Look, he comes on this channel. He doesn't know. I could stay live for 3 hours, and he's going to sit there and start twitching and feeling weird like, I got to get off here and do something. But look, who knows? We got maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour to get 10 new members on this channel. It's as little as 99 cents a month. Hit that join button down below. We get 10 members. We'll get that Gabriel custom Talkin VAWLS emoji out there. Another way you can support this channel, go check out the merchandise. Going to share it once again because these shirts are going to be gone forever after the game on Saturday. You guys demanded these. You said, Boogie, we need Buck Fama shirts. And I said, guys, that's a little offensive. That's a little offensive. We try to run a tight ship here. We try to keep it clean. But you guys wanted it. So we made it limited edition Buck Fama. Going to be gone forever after Saturday. So go get it while you have an opportunity. Also, you guys love the meme. All the little rhymes, I love them. I'm not quick-witted enough to put one together. Don't matter. Vols by Fitty. I love this shirt. I love the design of the Vols logo, the old school. You know, Dauber came to me and he's like, dude, we should put together a shirt that has that old Vols logo, but put VAWLS, because Spire Sports Group kind of did one too. And I said, let's take it a step further and let's make it Vols by Fitty. Go check that shirt out, as well as all the old favorites. Number one seller, probably State Pride. Outside of Buck Fama, you guys are destroying that T-shirt. We appreciate it. But all the old shirts are there as well. Again, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We appreciate the way you guys support this channel. If you don't have the money, don't worry about it. Don't buy a shirt. Don't become a member. Don't drop a super chat. But if you can, we appreciate it. We love the support. We truly try to give a platform that is for the fans. And I think you guys do truly believe that you have a voice here. Look, Gabriel is my wingman every single Monday morning. You know how he got that? He became a member of the channel. He jumped on a fan call-in show, and he killed it. And you guys loved him. So I said, hey, man, you want to jump on, be my wingman? He said, sure, and here we are. So you never know, man. This is truly for the fans, by the fans. Logan Richards becomes a member of the channel. We appreciate that. Mark McCullough, hope that's right, also becomes a member of the channel. We appreciate that, guys. Thanks for the support. 8 new members away from getting that custom Talkin VAWLS emoji for Gabe. Nathan Franzier for 10. Love what you all are doing. Much love from Kingsport, Tennessee. Showing love from the Tri-Cities area. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate that super chat. Thank you for the tip. Glad you enjoy the show, man. Glad you enjoy the show. Let's see. Who else we got here? Smoky Mountain Barbecue becomes a member. I appreciate you becoming a member of the channel. I truly do. We're 7 away, but there's several businesses that are always in the chat. And like they join the channel, they drop super chats, several different businesses. If you guys want to advertise, hit me up on Twitter. We can work something out, especially for, I'm all about local businesses. Had a big time sponsorship from a national company last year, and they burned me. And if he ever emails me again and says, hey man, you want to do some business? I'm going to say, yeah, $500,000 cash money up front, and I'll give you an advertising spot. Never. I want to support local businesses. All right, let's keep this show rolling. We still got 400 people watching. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Let's we talk about moving the goalposts in a negative way, right, people? The LSU team's they're not as good as we thought. Florida's not as good as we thought. Pitt's not any good, yada, yada, yada. Let's move the goalposts in a positive way. This is something we seem to do because every week it's a big game. Every week, College Game Day comes to town. Every week, it's a sellout. Every week, it's a bigger and bigger and bigger game. So let's take a look at the schedule for the rest of the way. What was your prediction, Gabriel, before the season? Were you an 8-4 guy, 9-3? Where were you?
I was more of an 8-4 guy. You know, I thought that would be. I mean, it would have been an improvement. You know, last year going 7-6, including the bowl game. You know, I would have been fine with 8-4 because that was an improvement. You looked at the schedule, and I mean, there's a lot of hard games on there at the beginning. You're saying, oh man, Pittsburgh, they beat us last year. Florida is Florida. LSU is LSU. And then you got Bama, Georgia, Kentucky was having an up year. was supposed to have an up year. There's a lot of games on there that you could say, well, they're losable, but Tennessee's probably going to beat them. I was more of an 8-4 guy, and so to be sitting here 5-0 going into Bama week is massive. I don't know. My outlook has changed. I'm not saying a 9-3 isn't possible, but realistically, I think 10-2 is the floor. I mean, unless you just drop a horrible game. Kentucky is exposed, okay? Will Levis is not the best player in college football, but when they're without him, they sure look like a much worse team. A much worse team. So, Will Levis or not, Tennessee's going to beat Kentucky, I think. I feel like that's less of a toss-up game now. Missouri is a win, but Missouri gave Georgia trouble, so you got to be careful. South Carolina and Vanderbilt. I mean, South Carolina beat Kentucky, sure. Kentucky didn't have Will Levis. South Carolina is a bad team. So yeah, I think 10-2 is the floor, honestly, and I think we have to be careful as Tennessee fans. If we lose against Alabama and Georgia, if we go 10-2 and make it into a New Year's Six bowl, guys, a New Year's Six bowl in year 2 of Josh Heupel, that is massive. That is huge. So I know we're so hyped up 5-0 going into Bama week. We may or may not beat Alabama. It's Alabama. It's Georgia. Who knows? But oh my gosh, guys, 10-2 and a New Year's Six. I wish the Cotton Bowl wasn't a playoff game this year, because if it wasn't and Tennessee got in, that means I could go watch them play. That's unfortunate. But I'm okay with just – if it's a New Year's Six bowl, I'm okay with watching them on TV no matter where they are. So
let me see. Gabriel said I missed this one. Mark Johnson also becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that, Mark. Chase Mullican becomes a member of the channel. Thank you guys. You guys starting to flood in. We appreciate that support. Thank you guys joining the channel. We're down to 5. We need 5 more new members before the end of the stream. We'll get that custom Talkin VAWLS emoji for Gabriel. Pecan for 5. Thank you for super chat. Bama beats a trash team and is the best in the world. We beat a ranked team and we are overrated trash. Double standards, man. 100%. Like that. It's so true. It's so true. That's what so many people, I think some people just choose to be negative. I really, truly do. And, as we sit here and talk about what are the realistic expectations now as we move forward. And I think for me, I kind of had that realization when we keep talking about Tennessee is going to be favored in every game the rest of the way outside of Alabama and Georgia. So should 10-2 not become the expectation? Should that not be? And I know that's moving the goalpost. When before the season I talked about toss-ups and 8-4, but I also said, Eric Cain made the comment, we'll know more about South Carolina the closer we get to that game. We're learning what Spencer Rattler they got. Same thing about, like you said, about Kentucky. That bad South Carolina team went and beat Kentucky. That gives me a lot of confidence that Tennessee is going to be able to go beat Kentucky. I just don't see anybody on the schedule that Tennessee should not beat other than Alabama and Georgia. So I think 10-2 should become the expectation. I think it should be. And yeah, you can slip up and lose one, but it just feels like the way this thing is playing out, it feels like 9-3 would be a disappointment at this point in the game. I think people would be like, and again, rewind, just rewind. Forget rewinding to the beginning of the season. Rewind to when Jeremy Pruitt was fired. And we're on here doing a live stream. At the time, it was the biggest live stream we had ever had on the channel. There's like over 1,000 people in here. And we were talking about how this is rock bottom. It's going to take 5 to 6 years. It's going to be absolutely terrible. What coach would want to come here? And then look how the coaching search played out. I mean, it was a disaster. It was a train wreck. Everybody was saying no. And then Josh Heupel comes in, and everybody's saying, who is this guy? Like, Central Florida never recruited a 4-star. Well, that's because he was at Central Florida. And you do the research, and people say, oh, he's just riding Scott Frost's coattails. He had better recruiting classes than Scott Frost had. So, none of that mattered. But the bottom line is, if you had said year 2, 9 wins, you're going to be disappointed when it's all said and done. I would be like, you're absolutely crazy. Like, you're crazy. Like, we all thought it was going to take time. And just the stars have aligned. We've been down for so long. We've been miserable as Tennessee fans for so long, the stars are finally aligning. The transfer portal, NIL, all that stuff came in at the picture-perfect time for Josh Heupel. Look at our quarterback. Look where he came from. Look at some of the wide receivers on this roster. Transfers, like Velus Jones transferring in, having a big year, getting to the NFL. It just feels like the pulse of this fan base right now, 9 wins would be a disappointment. I think 10-2. 10-2 is where I'm at as of right now.
Well, and I'll also say that, Tennessee was one of the first major programs to really get with the times when it comes to NIL and really set up a very responsible, solid foundation of NIL funding. That is going to pay dividends. I promise that is going to pay dividends. You look at Spire, a lot of the other, NIL collectives around the university. It's a big deal. There are still some universities out there that just don't even want to mess with it, because so many people, kind of disagree with where college football is heading. Tennessee hopped on that train and said, all right, let's do this the right way then. And that is going to pay dividends when it comes to just balanced recruiting of really good players. We're not going to cut an $8 million check to every player, but, I don't know. It's going to pay dividends. And going back to the thing about, 10 people calling Tennessee overrated, they want to treat Tennessee like that Big 12 team that comes around every year, like kind of what Oklahoma State or TCU is right now. Like if Oklahoma State or TCU played LSU, I don't think they'd win that game, honestly. They're because Big 12 good is different from SEC good. Yep. And they want to treat us like a Big 12 good, but we're not. We've beat Florida. We beat LSU. We're beating SEC teams. There is no overrated when it comes to that. There just isn't. I mean, they're just you win or lose football games. Kentucky, maybe they were overrated being number 7. Well, then they showed why they were. They lost, and now they're not overrated. Now they're rated correctly because they're not going to be ranked. But good teams win football games. We saw Tennessee win football games. 2 SEC games that Tennessee historically wouldn't win. I don't think last year's Tennessee win this game against LSU? Maybe. I don't know. I can't point out another team in the past 10 years, maybe other than 2016, if we could finish that game out, that would beat this LSU team. So good teams win football games, and there's a lot of people in the fan base that have been saying the same thing, that have been trying to downplay because it's BVS. They don't want to be disappointed. Have low expectations, and you can't be disappointed. But that's the thing is, this is a good Tennessee football team. That there is no overrating. We have beat the teams. We've been at 3 top. There is not a single football team in the FBS that has beaten 3 ranked football teams. There isn't. You cannot tell me that is being overrated. You cannot tell me.
And it's not like they went and beat a Missouri team or a South Carolina, right? It's 3 top 25 teams, 2 of which were on the road. On the road. Like that's why when you question the line for that LSU game, it's because it was at freaking Death Valley. And It's because LSU is a good football team. Like I'm so sick of hearing that, it doesn't matter. And if Tennessee slips up, if they slip up and they go lose to Alabama on Saturday, there are going to be people in this fan base that absolutely continue to push that narrative that Tennessee's not as good as we thought because the teams they played weren't real legit teams. Casey Edwards for 5. Thank you for the super chat. If you see any comments from Alabama fans, they are terrified of coming to Tennessee this week. Buck Fama, stay scared, GBO. Hey, if you guys know any Alabama YouTubers, go start harassing them, tag them up on Facebook, Twitter, on YouTube, somewhere. I would love to talk to an Alabama fan live on this channel and get their opinion of where their program is at. Pecan for 10, thank you for super chat. With how bad Bama and Georgia have been playing, if we don't do what Tennessee does, we go 12-0. But if we Tennessee it, then 10-2, 9-3, still a good season. That in itself is a battered Vol syndrome super chat. That is a battered Vol syndrome super chat. If we go do what we do, we take care of business. But if we Tennessee it, that is
if we
BBS.
lose against the number 1 and 2 team in the nation, then that's Tennesseeing it.
And what do you think about?
I know they're ranked number 3, but Alabama would be Ohio State right now.
What do you exactly like? What do you think about that? And I probably won't do an emotional reaction video to the SEC this week just because it's Bama week and there's different content we need to be talking about Alabama moving forward. But what do you think about Alabama dropping to number 3? Like, I'm with you. Alabama beats Ohio State. It's like so weird because used to the way the AP poll was is it kind of came out, and if Alabama was number 1, they sat there until they lost. But now it's like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. It's like, let's move them to 1, to 3, to 2, to – It's like, what? Alabama, again, Georgia. I think Georgia's the best team in the country, honestly.
Yeah, I think I agree. I said it before, like a week or two ago. The AP poll has been very dramatic this year. Just very dramatic between teams moving up and down. And, when you're at the top like that, there's only so far you can move up and down. But Alabama sliding from 1 to 3 after surviving against Texas, a decent Texas A&M team, that's dramatic to me. It's like, okay, it's college football. They didn't have the best day. Alabama is still Alabama. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the playoff is 4 teams. So, but I think I just think it's silly. I mean, who has Ohio State played? I mean, I'm sure they've played like an okay couple of teams, but like it's again SEC versus Big Ten. Would Tennessee beat Ohio State if they played them? I don't know. I think they might have a better chance than when they play Alabama, because it's SEC against Big Ten. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. And people get after Josh Pate for so hard. People get after Josh Pate for always going to the SEC games of the week as opposed to the other conference games, because the SEC is just better. It just means more is literally their motto. And it's true. The fans are more into it in the SEC. The teams are better. It's just better football.
I got a buddy that's from Big Ten country, and he moved down here from Indiana, and he's like, it's so funny to see him now. And if he tries to argue football with me, I'm like, the Big Ten does not count. Like, we don't talk about Big Ten football. Like you said, there is a difference. Ohio State beat Notre Dame 21-10 that opening weekend. Since then, they played Arkansas State, Toledo. They beat Wisconsin 52-21. They played Rutgers, and then they beat Michigan State. So the only ranked team, well, I guess Notre Dame was probably ranked.
Yeah,
that first game.
Now Notre Dame is, Notre Dame got exposed real quickly, and they suck.
Yep.
So, yeah, exactly. Ohio State hasn't played anybody. They've put up points against trashy teams that Tennessee would also destroy. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to happen every year. It's just the way it is. But people that get after, that say we're overrated, SEC, you can't be overrated if you're winning SEC games and you're ranked. You just can't. You can't. Unless you're out there beating Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and Missouri, and they rank you number 1 in the country, then aka kind of what Georgia's doing right now. But Georgia also, I mean, Oregon isn't a great football team. They're not a bad football team either, and Georgia put the beat down on Oregon.
Yeah, they destroyed Oregon 49-3, and Oregon's still ranked in the top 15.
Yeah, Oregon is still ranked. They're not a bad team at all. So.
And when it's all said and done, you're going to figure out what you're made of in the SEC, right? Like even looking at Georgia's schedule and people saying that they had an easy path to Atlanta this year, they still played Oregon, a top ranked Oregon team at the time, now still in the top 15. And then you go through the SEC. Yeah, they played Auburn. Auburn's it is what it is. They got Florida on the schedule because they're in the SEC East. Tennessee, number 1 versus number 6 right now. Well, this polls. Is Georgia number 1? And is Georgia, and then Bama's number 3, and Ohio State's number 2. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you look at the end of the season for Georgia. Right now, it reads number 1 Georgia versus number 6 Tennessee, number 1 Georgia versus number 16 Mississippi State, number 1 Georgia versus number 22 Kentucky, and then you're going to have the SEC championship possibly mixed in there as well. If you go through the SEC, you're going to find out what you're made of by the end of the season. Whereas the Big Ten, you may play a couple of tough games. Ohio State probably favored in every game they played.
Yeah, it's Ohio State and Michigan. That's it. Michigan State has been okay over the years. They've put up some decent teams, some good teams, but it's Ohio State and Michigan. That's it in the Big Ten. That's it.
Right there. How about the fact that people have so little confidence in ACC teams that Clemson's favored by like 4 as the number 4 team in the country despite playing unranked Florida State? Yeah. Here's another new member of the channel. Jacob Davidson becomes a member of the channel. Talkin VAWLS faithful. Appreciate you joining. We're 4 members. We need 4 new members, and we'll get Gabriel a custom Talkin VAWLS emoji. Let me run through some super chats real quick. Fido Productions for 5. Jalen McCullough facing a felony. Man, oh man. Yeah, we talked about that a couple of times. When you're live for an hour and a half, the same topics just keep coming up as you go through the stream.
Yeah.
Also made a video, Fido Productions. Go check out the video that I made this morning, and you can hear more on that. But thank you for the super chat. Drew Shorter for 5. This culture is much different now. When this team said they were going to Atlanta in the offseason, they meant it in year 2. Yeah, that's when you talk about culture. And I love the quote from Josh Heupel about hoping you can win, thinking you can win, expecting to win. That is such a different mindset, and I love that. Yeah, he has changed the culture at Tennessee. Fido for another 5. I bet Eric Gray is somewhere punching a wall. I think Eric Gray was forced out, right? He was one of the guys allegedly involved with the money and Jeremy Pruitt and all that stuff. Those guys, I think he was. I'm pretty sure he was. Not 100% sure. But, a lot of people talk about those guys that transferred to Oklahoma and say, I bet they regret it now. They didn't have a choice. They were told to leave because they were involved. That's, again, the beauty of the way that this administration handled that whole NCAA thing. Mm-hmm. They cut ties with everybody that was involved. People in the recruiting office, players, coaches, everybody gone. And that's why that NCAA stuff is all in the past. Casey Edwards for 5. Hope they played Bryce Young and we still win. If we win against Young, there should be no doubt in this team anymore. Will we break the sound record? We kind of talked about this earlier. I hope I shouldn't. Let me catch myself. We're live on here. Gabriel, we're live. I should not say what I was about to say. I never want to wish injury on anybody. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody to break an ankle. I don't care who they have in or out of the game. Just go win. That's it. Just win. I don't care. I don't care who's hurt. I don't care who's out. Mm-hmm. What do you think? How loud is Neyland Stadium going to be on Saturday?
It's going to be so loud. You're not going to be able to hear yourself think, for sure.
By the way, that's my brother in the chat right there. He's the graphics guy that does all the emojis. So he is saying, please, 4 more people do not need to join the channel because then that means he's going to have to draw up a new cartoon Talkin VAWLS emoji. So yeah, everybody stop joining the channel. We don't want 4 more people to join the channel. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, it's going to be massive. I mean, it might be one of those things where it causes an earthquake, I mean, the amount of fans that are going to be around campus too, watching the game, it's going to be the energy is going to be unbelievable, because now you don't just have the newer fans into it. You're going to have people there that went to the old Alabama games when went to that 1989 game where both teams were undefeated. And they're going to be some of those people in Neyland on Saturday that haven't been to a game since then because Tennessee's been or since in the past 10 or 15 years. That's the type of environment we're talking about, like a generational type thing. That's why Josh Pate is going there this Saturday, because screw everything else. It's freaking Tennessee and Alabama, 3rd Saturday in October. Both teams are undefeated for the first time in 30 years. Simple as that. So it's going to be massive.
Love that comment right there. Wonder how many recruits will be there.
A lot.
And that's such a big part of it, man. And some of these people, again, the negative people that are, oh, well, stop getting ahead of yourself. It doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. People are over. Who cares, man? Tennessee is ranked 6th in the country. They're nationally relevant. College game day is about to be there for the 2nd time. And we're not even halfway through the season. Mm-hmm. And then I saw somebody in the chat earlier saying, is game day going to end up being at Georgia for the Georgia-Tennessee game? Tennessee could possibly be involved in 3 college game days. You don't think recruits notice that? Like, some of these kids have no idea who T. Martin was. They have no idea who a national championship quarterback was. They weren't even born in '98. They don't remember that. Gabe wasn't even born in 98. I mean, so many people in this fan base have not seen us at the top of the mountain. They've not seen us there. Let's drink it in. Let's soak it in. Let's enjoy the ride because it is huge. It is huge for recruiting. We talked about all offseason, how big year 2 was to show that you're going to take a step. And yes, Josh Heupel did more in year 1, going and winning 7 games. Nobody expected that. I had weird people in 18-wheelers making YouTube videos about how I'm an idiot because I said they were going to win 6. People did not believe they were going to win 6 games. People were saying 3 games, 4 games. Josh Heupel goes and wins 7. That was huge. And then the Nico deal. You know, again, the timing of the NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff. And you mentioned Nico and the alleged $8 million. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, that doesn't mean that we're going to go pay every player $8 million. But you know what it did? It set the standard of Tennessee has money. Yep. Tennessee has money. That's the place to be if you want to make a name for yourself in the NIL world. That's where you need to be. And it's just so big, man. It's so big. Even I'm not even going to speak that into existence. I'm not even going to speak into it. Let's just enjoy the ride. Let's just go play Alabama and let the chips fall where they may. But it's huge. Huge what Josh Heupel has done in less than 2 years. Nate Pruitt for 2. Thank you for Super Chat. Number 6, baby. It's time. Buck Fama. Love it, Nate. Thank you for the Super Chat. Solid Foundations becomes a member of the channel. We appreciate that. We're just 3 new members. If you've been on the fence, if you've been talking about, I wish Boogie would shut up. All he ever does is shill for members, shill for Super Chats. If you've ever been on the fence and thinking, well, maybe I'll just do it. Now's the time. We're 3 away. 3 more custom talking, or 3 more memberships away. Gabriel will have a custom Talkin VAWLS emoji.
I'd also like to point out that if anyone wants to make it happen, you can also gift a subscription. So if anyone else says 99 cents, if you were going to go grab an Arizona green tea and want to use it to give somebody a subscription as well, you can do that as well. So just saying, just throwing that out there.
How does that work? I think we've talked about it before. Does it just randomly pick somebody that's not a member and make them a member?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe it's random. I don't think you have a choice. I think it just randomly chooses somebody.
Chase Mulligan says, let's make Boogie full-time. You know, part of it's a bit, part of it's a joke, but part of it is the reality. Like if we hit, there's a specific number in mind that if we hit, I would feel confident quitting my day job and actually being able to do this full time. You know, I've been obviously using a lot of paid time off to get on here and do these Monday morning streams. I'm thinking about doing a morning stream Thursday or Friday, just kind of depending on the pulse of the fan base. Look, we've been live for an hour and a half, and we still got 414 people watching. So clearly, you guys want content. It's Bama week, man. It's go time. It is freaking go time.
I'm already nervous, man. See, I got on here, I said my piece about LSU, and now my mind's already moving on to Alabama. It's getting hyped. That's scary.
It's just like I said. Who thought we would be here? Who thought we would be here in year 2 of Josh Heupel talking about actually competing with and beating Alabama? Riggs becomes a member of the channel. Thank you, Riggs. We appreciate that. Two more members. I'm trying to give you guys some time to come in here, get it done, so we can get that custom Talkin VAWLS emoji. Let's play this scenario out because I saw somebody ask this earlier, and I've talked about it a few times. And it's a whole lot of ifs, ands, and buts, but it's a fun conversation. And hey, it's Bama week. We got 415 people watching. Why not bring up a conversation? We said earlier, 10-2, kind of the new expectation. Let's go win 10 games. So the 2 losses that you're kind of chalking up are Georgia and Alabama. Tennessee can go 11-1. So let's say they go 11-1. Which scenario would you prefer? And I've talked about this, so I'll let you answer the question. Do you think it's better for Tennessee to go and beat Alabama but lose to Georgia, which would put Georgia into the SEC championship game, or Tennessee to lose to Alabama, beat Georgia, go to Atlanta? Now you're going to have a rematch with Alabama. That's going to be a big hill to climb there. But if you go 11-1 and your only loss is to Georgia, who then goes on and wins the SEC championship, you might sneak your way into the backside of the college football playoff. Which game would you prefer?
Man, the question is it enough to beat Georgia or to beat Alabama and then sneak in at the end of the season? Do we have enough because as stupid as this is, the college football playoff ranks what happens later in the season. Not as much as that. If a team loses their first game or first 2 games and then wins out, they have a better chance of making the playoff if they win their first 11 games and then lose one at the end. So I don't think we make it into the playoff if we beat Alabama and lose to Georgia. I don't think we sneak in, because we've seen one of them beat the other in the SEC championship and still make it into the playoff. So I would rather beat Georgia and have a second chance at Alabama, because it's really hard to beat a team twice. It just is. It's really hard to beat a team twice. If we lose to Alabama and then beat Georgia, I would rather that, because at that point, if you beat Georgia, you're going to be ranked in the top 4 at the end of the season going into the SEC championship, and that may not have huge. The SEC championship has not had massive implications on the playoff in the past few years, unless there is just a team banging on the door at number 5 and you're at number 4 and you lose in the SEC championship. Then I'm not worried about it. I think you beat Alabama, or you lose to Alabama, beat Georgia, get back, go to Atlanta. Especially because this is a Tennessee team that knows how badly they need to win an SEC championship. If they went to Atlanta at the end of the season, in my mind, there is not one way on this earth that Tennessee is not walking out of their champions. That's just how I view Alabama, especially if that's who we were to play. They've been there before. Saban's been there before. Yeah, he's going to coach them the same, but it's Alabama, right? But then we look at Tennessee, a legit Tennessee team, hasn't been to the SEC championship since 2005. Was that the last time we went to the SEC championship? Hasn't been there in years, and knows what's riding on their shoulders. They have a chip on their shoulder. They're playing with more heart than they've ever played. And I think it'd be hard for them to walk out. So long story short, you lose to Alabama and beat Georgia, in my mind. Have a second chance at Alabama. Go beat them in the SEC championship. Go play. And maybe at that point it's Georgia that you're playing in the playoff, But who knows? But get in the playoff and make a case for the national championship.
I love the chat saying, how about you go beat them both and then Ole Miss sneaks it? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And here's a super chat from Riggs for 2. Thank you for super chat. Beat them both and Bama twice. But what if you beat them both, Ole Miss sneaks into the SEC championship, and you've got you talk about a storyline. The rematch, Heupel versus Kiffin, that's what I want. Sign me up for that to take place.
Tennessee and Ole Miss in the SEC championship sounds like whatever hospital is closest to the stadium down there is going to be busy that night, because that is going to be a game full of wild fans.
Hostile,
that would be crazy.
Hostile.
Yeah, that's the word. So
yeah.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I'm just saying, it's possible to make it to Atlanta this year. If Georgia was not who they are right now, it would be easy to say that this Tennessee team is making it to Atlanta. It's just Georgia is the big guy standing in the doorway, blocking your way, and we got to find a way to get past them. So,
and it goes back full circle to, you got to continue to have success. Tennessee goes out and they go 10-2 this year, and they go to a New Year's Six bowl. They're going to the class. This next upcoming class is going to be solid. They are going to flip some talent. They're going to add some guys, whether or not that's a Carnell Tate, Francis Mauigoa, I don't know, or whether there's some other guys out there. They are still swinging on a lot of guys that are committed to other schools. So you got to stack recruiting classes. Again, it's year 2. And when you look at the grand scheme of things and you talk about a 5 to 6 year rebuild, that's where it's at, to close the gap with Georgia. And yes, Tennessee is beating teams that none of us expected to beat. But the talent gap between Tennessee and Georgia, Tennessee and Alabama, is still there. And that's why I keep going back to what happens when What happens when Josh Heupel has 5-star talent in place? Zach Morris, love Zach Morris, great show, by the way. More transfers coming. That's a good point. Being able to utilize the transfer portal is going to be huge. You go 10-2 this year, go to a New Year's Six Bowl, that transfer portal is going to be hopping this offseason. Brad, for 2, thank you for Super Chat. How many years until hype beats? That's an inside joke. That's an inside joke. I'll tell you after we go off air. Thanks, Brad, for the question, buddy. Brad made a good point earlier. He said, Boogie just on here trying to prove he can go live as long as the Swain event does, or did. What'd they do? They did 3 hours every day, but they also had commercial breaks like crazy.
Right.
They talked about the NFL. They talked about the NBA. They talked about everything, not just Tennessee football. We've been live almost 2 hours talking nothing but Tennessee football, and that's because you guys demanded this show, so we gave it to you. But I think we are going to wrap things up. Look, busy week coming up. Again, just a quick rundown. I did drop a video on Tank McCullough earlier today, so if you've not seen that, go back, check that out, give that a watch. The day after, kind of breaking down LSU. I had a video about College Game Day yesterday, blowing up big time. Thank you guys for the support, watching the videos. Keep sharing them, keep retweeting them. Let people know about the Talkin VAWLS Network. We're going to be live tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, late night Talkin VAWLS for the fan call-in show. That's where all you members get to come on and be a part of the show. That's how Gabe got the CDs in right now, because he came on a fan call-in show. It was a good time. Now he earned that spot. Also, Wednesday night, going to be a big show talking about the Swain event. Ben McKee from the Swain event and Go Balls 24/7 will be on the show talking about the LSU game, Alabama coming up, all kinds of fun content coming your way. If you guys demand it and want it, we'll bring you another morning show maybe Friday. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that notification bell is clicked, and it'll let you know when we're going to go live. And then obviously Saturday, tailgate show an hour before kickoff, post-game show immediately following the game. But that's it, man. It's Bama week. Go check out the merch. Buck Fama. Go get that shirt while you still can. All the links are in the description below. But that's going to wrap it up. He's Gabriel, Puppy Dog, everything else, G-Daddy, G-Daddy, whatever you want to call him. My name is Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and